All right. Okay, there we go. Thank you. Yeah, I'm
Sure.
still in the midst of creating that to-do list. Let me type that in there. Um, as I was saying, Ruby started out as a poet, like most of us do, writing little notes to herself inside her journals, keeping her secrets, and eventually budding and blossoming above ground in the sun as a poet. You know, she even started a poetry club. That's how much of a poet she is. All right, high school, starting a poetry club. All right. But as life would have it, she went away to college, and in college, she expanded her writing to journalism, and she started writing for different blog posts and submitting articles around the internet and periodicals. Um, but she still kept writing poetry, and she submitted poems to the Penn Street City of Poems and the Wonder of Presence poems anthologies. So now she tells me that she's once again coming back to renewing her interest in poetry, keeping up with the latest trends in poetry, which include spoken word poetry. So I think that what you'll hear from her is a blend of poetry with wonderful imagery. And then she'll also be using these newfound talents of hers with the rhythm and the rhyme that make for a lyrical poet. So without further ado, I want to present to you Ruby Mora.
Thank you, Bernardo. Oh my gosh, what an intro. Oof. Hello everybody. I'm Ruby. Pronouns are she, her. Um, I have a couple poems that I wanted to read today, and most of it is work that I've written just over the years. There is one that I literally wrote. It's more prose than anything, but I wrote it, I think, within half an hour before today's reading. So it's a little something that's been on my mind lately, along with a million other things. But um, to start off, I'm going to read a poem that I wrote within the last year or so. Um, this is called In This Present, Still Being. Have you thought of the ground you walked on lately? The feeling of dirt adjusting to the soles of your shoes? The way the clouds decided to line up tremendously in sync with the sun? Chrysanthemums, lilacs, oranges. Have you settled your eyes on the trees as of late? Changing with us as the seasons evolve. Feel the crackles of bark forming intersecting roads, only seen up close, only felt when you take the time to give your fingertips the proper reintroduction. Encircle yourself in blooming, in feeling, in being, in absolute, in humanity, something we are so fiercely and endlessly clutching onto. Thank you.
Thank you.
Um, so yeah, a lot of my poetry lately has been surrounding just a lot of the little things that I feel people tend to overlook, with just the busyness, how everyone's just been so busy with so many things in this past year. The one big thing I feel like we've all been busy with is just the means of surviving. um, so I feel like it's so important to look at just the little details in life and just taking a moment and appreciating the tiniest things, the tiniest senses that we might overlook on a regular day. Um, Kind of following along with those similar themes, my next poem is called Today is Vivid. It took a long time to clear the smoke from my head, to feel like each day will be different, to be able to be at least a bit stronger than the demons that rent out where my negativity lives. It's the peak of spring, and I feel like I'm seeing so much more than what I've been seeing the last 26 years. My newfound joy plays a role in the manifestation of my new eyes. Every color and the contrast of each I see with a frightening intensity. Thank you. Yeah, that poem obviously I wrote when I was 26, a few years ago. And then and just to check in, does everyone still hear me okay? I know with Zoom and stuff, it can be a little up in the air as far as technology, connection, and all of that. Thank you, Anthony. All right, cool. So this next poem was one of my more recent poems that I feel came really unexpectedly, just like the person that it is about. I know Anthony especially knows about this, but I was gushing at a Zoom reading a few months ago about how like love is just, like I used to kind of make fun of love, but now I'm just all up in it once again. And I've been dabbling lately into writing poetry surrounding love, as cheesy as that sounds. It's just how things ended up. So this next poem is called 500 Cups of Tea. In all my turmoils, there is always water ready to boil. The cabinet above the stove and the old ramen box are all varieties of comfort waiting to be steeped. On a blue flower plate, spoon resting beside it, is a symbol that gently says, "Hey, I'm here if you need me." Here is warmth made with love to calm your soul. You serve me home with the utmost care. Serenity stirred in, a starting point to healing. Thank you. Oh, yeah, that one, again, very unexpected. Like a lot of things in life, I feel like we all know this with the year that we've had. So my next poem is a little bit of a longer one. And just to give some context, I wrote this at a time where I felt like pretty alone, in the sense, and like kind of adding to that, like alone and just kind of baffled at how things have turned out as far as connecting with people in a romantic sense, and just how it is connected with how that act is connected with technology, and just with like a lot of people meeting people online through Tinder, through different outlets like that. So this is a comforting poem that I feel, I mean, I hope that people that were in my shoes or in similar shoes back then could feel some comfort from this poem, because it definitely, at the end of the day, comforted me. So this poem is called "To Those Who Still Live Tenderly." It might be 3 a.m. where you're at. You might be alone in your home, still wondering where your person is, wondering why it's so difficult to come across someone who can see all of the universes within you without even trying. You think succumbing to the trend of swiping and fucking and swiping and forgetting after will make you feel more whole and feel less of a deteriorating pit in your stomach from the heartaches prior that did less than try. You are a part of a sea of souls that share moments like this. You're in a cafe in a busy city, having house coffee, free refills, of course, working on a multitude of things as millennials do. Currently, it's sketching. Seeing if someone will come up to your table and talk to you about the book next to your sketchbook that you're reading in between sketches. You hope that from there, something will grow. Keep that hope in you. Hold it as close as you can. Imagine it so close it slides past your outer being and sinks into your soul. It leaves a lot of us way too soon. You're on the last Tinder date you told yourself you will ever go on, waiting and waiting and waiting. And you already downed the free sympathy glass of Gatava your waitress insisted on bringing you after 45 minutes of being alone. And you got to the restaurant 5 minutes early. It seems like there will be no end to the disappointments. The maybe it's best if we don't see each other again after tonight, people. The I don't want anything serious, people. The I'm not a relationship person, people. As time goes by and you get more comfortable with your own solitude, you believe more and more that the tender ones like you don't exist anymore. There is more warmth. It's in us, and no ratio of life to screen can weaken that. It might be morning, and you and the billions of tender people share the same sunrise, the oranges and reds within the flattened clouds coming into that gentle new day. There will be more warmth. There will be more warmth. There will be more warmth. Give it time, but give it anyway. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So now we've come to the On a Whim poem. We can even call it a poem. So I feel like there's just been a lot of changes in result of so many, like especially marginalized communities that have suffered so much because of this pandemic, because of the nation's government, because of just so many things. And it's just been weighing on me for a while. So and this is a little something. It's untitled, and it's a little something I wrote up. We are on the precipice of something revolutionary. I try to remind myself of this as I work my means to survive. No, my occupation that keeps me alive. No, my 9 to 5. Thinking of those that could leave, that have left theirs, know their power, their stronghold on so much, no longer being complacent with the standstills of their work, demanding more, demanding better. Sign-on bonuses for what? So that the powers that be can mistreat, take advantage, profit, continue the cycle that works in favor of the disgustingly rich? I refuse. We refuse. Fear the impending era where a 9 to 5 is a joke in passing. Fear the elimination of your abuse. Fear the day where you have to work for yourself, make coin for yourself, Instead of sitting on your throne of luxury obtained at the expense of others you see as lesser. Fear that knock on your mansion door. We're here and we're done and we're ready for what we deserve. Thank you. That's all I have, like literally up to the day. This was written literally, I know Liz just jumped in. What I just read, I wrote up within like half an hour before today's reading. So it's the newest thing that I've written. So, but yeah, that's all I have. Thank you so much, everyone.
I love the honesty. I love the vulnerability and the honesty. You are a true poet. Right. You just started. You gave us about 11 minutes. You don't have anything else?
That's all I got. That's like solid.
Okay. All right. Well, everybody, you can unmute now and show Ruby your appreciation.
Thank you so much. Ruby, it was beautiful and sweet and loving and kind and tender for me. I love it. I love your poetry. Keep writing.
Thank you.
Keep sharing that optimism. Keep sharing that optimistic way of life and living.
Yes.
That's what the world needs. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Never apologize for a love poem, right, lady?
Oh my goodness. That's right. You know I was loving it, all that love.
Absolutely.
I thought of you, Diane, when she did that. I thought of that.
I know.
No,
I'm touched now. I'm getting emotional, y'all.
I told you.
I know. I'm glad I didn't miss it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions for Ruby?
Well, Ruby, you mentioned that during this year and a half of COVID that there had been a lot of surprises in your life. And I wondered if you could just talk a little bit about that and tell us what it's been like for you.
That's a great question. So I gotta think what's been happening. I mean, the biggest thing probably would be just the reconnection with my current partner. He and I have been on and off for, oh my gosh, almost a decade. But no, he recently came back into my life due to just so many circumstances, and it has been like one of the biggest blessings. Like I've learned so much from him, and I've learned so much about myself through being around him. And yeah, that's probably the biggest thing. And again, that was really really unexpected. And then
that's pretty good on its own.
yeah. I mean that's
wonderful. Does he like poetry?
Oh yeah, no. I mean, considering poetry is kind of always around me, I honestly would be surprised if he didn't, considering how much poetry I like have around him and everything. But he's also like a really creative person. He's really great with writing fiction, leaning towards like sci-fi fantasy. So but yeah, he does love poetry.
Ruby,
Yes.
Do you think the pandemic has made you stronger or weakened you?
Oh gosh, I love questions like that. It has, I feel like for the most part, it's made me stronger. I really have to be honest and say that I've been just a bit weakened in the sense of that my hope in in people was kind of diminished. But I mean, it with events like this, it's automatically rejuvenated. But it's just, I feel like just what's weakened about me is my ability to, like over the past year, my ability to be completely fearless in connecting with people, because I was just so anxious about like being around people over this past year, and even now, like I'm just starting to break into like spaces physically and seeing people, and yeah, I feel like that is just something that I have to be honest about. But for sure, I've gotten stronger, like majorly stronger over this past year.
Good job.
I got two questions, Ruby. One, you know, is coming, so we already talked about it. I'm gonna save that for the second one. This first one, I want like you to tell me 3 poets that you admire and why. They can be from the literary tribe of fantastic literary poets that we've written, you know, that have written over the centuries, or it can be from the modern poets that you see on YouTube or someone you encountered. And why do you like them? Because these are our influences as poets. And you have a beautiful soul. So what feeds your soul?
Thank you. Oh man, it's tough. And you know, Bernardo, I had a whole list of poets. It's tough to pick only 3.
I understand, I do.
Only 3. Only 3.
You get limited.
I mean, the first one probably would have to be Melissa Lozada Oliva. And the reason why is because she was the first poet that I started watching her like perform her poetry, and she was the one, like her performing her poetry was the reason why I got into like poetry in that sense of like performing it, like spoken word. And like even on a personal level, like I feel like I connect with her poems just on a level where like she tackles just so many things that are taboo to talk about, like just like about the self, the body, just living as a woman of color. So yeah, that would have to be why. Gosh, this is so hard. I mean, these would have to be like my top 3. So my second one would have to be Yrsa Daley Ward. I started reading her poems, I think 4-5 years ago. Her most known collection is called Bone, and she has inspired me to really write so much more about emotions, like raw emotions, raw feelings. And a lot of her poetry is just so like really short, but just packs so much, and it just resonates with me so much. And like I'm so inspired by her, like even now, and I'm just waiting for the next collection to come out. But so my second one. Oh man, that's tough. Uh,
How about
I
this
think
guy that you talked about? This person, Smith.
Dinesh Smith. Yes, Dinesh Smith. He is phenomenal. He was one of the other poets that I came across through YouTube where I would see his performances. Um, and he is a poet that just I it must have taken so much time for him to do this, but he's a poet that is just does like performs his poems so well, but then also is so intentional with his poems on paper. Um, and with the way that he experiments with form and the way that he just has like imagery and the way that it's yeah, that would probably be my third one, but again I have so many. And even two lovely gentlemen that are part of the Zoom meeting too, like they're a part of my list too. Yep, I'm talking to you, Anthony and David.
Well, that's what's important about this too, Ruby, is that, you know, this is being recorded, so people will be able to go back and pick out the names of these poets you're talking about, and because we as poets, we listen to other poets, and we will do the research to figure out who inspires us, who lifts us, and I like the fact that you named the first poet because of the beginning. You know, she was like your first love as a poet, you know, and who doesn't remember their first love, you know?
Right.
So that's an awesome thing to say. This second question is the one that says, what do you hope to do with your poems? Is it, because we hear all the soul inside of you. Is it about you just merely expressing yourself, or is it about something you want to give to others or enlighten them, like that first poem you did that talked to us to pay attention to the ground that we walk on?
Mm-hmm.
What do you hope to do? Is there a single thing you hope to do with your poetry, or is it all of that?
Everything. It's everything. The same way that so many of the poets that their work has resonated with me so much, I hope to have my work resonate with people too. And I want people to have their perspectives changed, have their have a connection with my work in the most human sense. Because I feel like human connection is just so valuable, and we've been so deprived of it over the last year and some. And my hope, especially going forward, especially with me having this inspiration and just like an itch to write a lot after that itch being suppressed by having to worry about so many other things. I just hope that my work can be enlightening, can be soothing, can bring a sense of joy and calm and awareness to people.
Thank you, Ruby. I would like to say on behalf of all of us that your work tonight definitely did that for us. You gave us the calm, you gave us the soothing, you know, beautiful, beautiful work.
Thank you so much. That means the world. Thank you.
Okay, folks. As you all know, this is my first time doing this, so I'm still trying to get a feel for things. But I definitely want to hear from some other voices, because what I find happens in rooms like this is one poet, especially one such as Ruby, who presents us with such richness with her work, that it will touch us. And it's kind of like the wave effect of tossing a pebble into a lake, and the ripples just ripple out, and then it starts touching us. And then we think about something we wrote, and then it turns into this great shimmering effect of just beauty. So let's see what we got. I've got 5 people now. Okay, I'm up to 5, and we got some time. And like I said, this is my first time, so we're going to figure this out now. Whether going forward, how long we're going to make it. But for right now, I got 5. I'll take some more. We'll see, because I had a number in mind about how long I wanted this program to run tonight. And right now, we're well within limits. So let's start with Lady Di. She's going to be our first poet. And up on deck after Lady Pie, the Lady Di is Little Pie. How about that? Lady Di, Little Pie. All right, let's hear from Lady Di, Diane Beverly, y'all. Come on up, Diane.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Bernardo. I'm going to read a poem that I wrote recently, and it's entitled Friendship Like Ours. In my mind's eye, colorful bouquets of forget-me-nots beautifully unite our sensitive souls, standing in massive fields of beautiful, bright, bountiful sunflowers. Oh, how thrilling our friendship strengthens as years rush by, hours after hours. Fond, strong memories of entertaining ourselves and many others, including internationally, especially times of contentment and ardent, silly laughter. Perpetually, we support each other's endeavors, each other's dreams. Knowing God is in the midst of our sunshine and all we do. Friends forever, finding our hearts reuniting over and over again. Pondering, collaborating helps to reach long and short-term goals. A sassy friendship to have and behold. Times together like mother and daughter, sitting at elders' feet. Other times like big sister, like little sister, helping to overcome defeat. Smiling over phone, no matter distance, serious as we are, we forever appreciate each other's words of existence, grateful for a perpetual, loving friendship like ours. Dedicated to my dear friend, Angela Turnbull. Thank you. Angela's a poet also.
Fantastic, Lady Di. I wrote in the chat that there was an excellent flow of energy from Ruby to you. This is very calming, very lovely setting for spoken word that soothes us like this.
That's true.
Little Pie, are you ready for me?
Yeah, you would put me after Lady Di, right? Okay, I'll pay you back for that.
The order in which they come.
sorry, I'll pay you back for it. Anyway, it's called Ode to the Call. Sometimes it just happens, that stupid smile of mine. Sometimes when I'm in line and thinking of a crescent moon, I smile that stupid smile. And the clerk gives me a stare. Me handing over the money makes a moment of awkward air. That stupid smile ends in a thoughtless chuckle. No intent. Even so, I've conquered my senseless call. That's it. Thanks.
Beautiful. Thank you. Appreciate that. Such simple words, and yet it reflects so much emotion. That's the wonder and beauty of poetry. You know, to take us there. I can see myself standing in line doing that, and I do that. I walk around talking to myself. People think I'm crazy. I'm trying to remember this line I wrote. I gotta get something to write it on. So.
Hey, Bernardo, just so you know, I used to do that too. And I had a guy walk up to me and he said, listen, that could be the most intelligent person you talk to all day. So I was like, yes. so now I really talk to myself. Like, no pretend.
It's okay. It's okay. That's what Maurice White told me. The minister Maurice White told me years ago, talking to yourself is fine. You know, love that. It's all about love, y'all. Next up on my list is the guy that lives free in Reading, Pennsylvania, the poet laureate. Anthony, I'm talking about you, man. Come on up.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. So I just recently finished an article which took a very long time to write, just because I had to talk to a bunch of people. I had to talk to the right people and get sort of endorsements from one person to the next to make sure that I could speak with them, because it was about a sensitive subject. But nonetheless, it revolved around Puerto Rico in a sense. And I love Puerto Rico. It's called La Isla del Encanto, which means the enchanted island. And it truly is. And I want to do something positive about Puerto Rico, because what I wrote is kind of the opposite. And so I'm going to read some cheesy love poetry as well, Ruby. And it's a simple name, Old San Juan. And I forgot all about it. I just found it. And I'm nearing my next trip. I'll be going there in not too long. And this has me excited about it. Drenched in night, we sat on the castle wall and stared into the sea's relentless wind. The risk and intrigue of La Perla below us, the security of fortress hugging the coast, sky and water merged into one black, rushing thing. A sea salt breeze whipped past us onto the hot skin of people dancing. Waves crashed like the steady rhythm of drums. Shoes clicked on cobblestone like the ring of a cowbell. The rustling of leaves of tropical trees sizzled like the strokes of El Güiro. And this is a Güiro. One of these. That's what the rustling of tropical trees sounded like. Boricua laughter and poetry rolled out of open doorways, like fingers poring over piano keys. Some things, like colonial Spanish courtyards and castle walls, will forever be preserved, regardless of what the darkness may bring. You wrapped your hands around my arm and told me we were meant to be there, right there, together. And the more I live, the more I believe you. The more I believe portion of me will always be there with you, holding you the way the warm breeze held us, immune from the past by the crashing edges of its waves, almost shining.
Anthony, I think you're frozen. Yeah, you're frozen.
Am I?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
You're back now.
I don't know. Should I read it again or what? Did you guys hear me?
I don't know if we got time. Okay, pick up where you left off.
I don't know where I left off. Let's see. Elizabeth wrote, holding you the way the breeze held us. So you wrapped your hands around my arm and told me we were meant to be there, right there, together. And the more I live, the more I believe you. The more I believe some portion of me will always be there with you, holding you the way the warm breeze held us, immune to the passing of time, protected by the crashing of raw ocean, the edges of its waves almost shining through the past.
Great. Thank you, Elizabeth, for that wonderful save. We had to hear the end of that, Anthony. That's beautiful, man.
You're welcome.
Okay. Anthony, I just sent
Thank
you a
you.
message. Have you ever read at the Poet's Passage?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that night,
Yeah,
the
me
night that I
too.
read this.
Oh my God. I love it. You know, poets traveling the world and reading in the same place. That's fantastic.
It was great. It was amazing
Yeah.
to see the community there.
Yes.
And luckily, I have some friends who live in Puerto Rico who are also amazing poets.
Okay.
And so I got to watch them do their thing. It was great.
Well, I will stay in touch with you, man, because I'm headed back to Puerto Rico next year for sure. And hopefully Maritza will have her her Mariposa poetry retreat there. And she does that. That's an amazing event. Any poet that can afford to do that, to be in a room with other poets for breakfast, lunch, dinner, conversations, workshops, it is awesome. Awesome. Okay. But man, it's so nice to meet you, brother. You know,
Nice
I look
to meet
forward
you.
to future conversations.
Me too. Thank you.
Next on my list is going to be Marilyn.
Oh, thank you so much, Bernardo. And to continue that love theme, I just recently had a poem published in the Studio B anthology. This was what the cover looks like. Studio B is in Boyertown, and they put out their 8th edition, and it was supposed to be about my favorite things because we'd all been through the pandemic and nobody was enjoying themselves very much. So that I'm going to read that poem in just a moment, but I also want to tell everybody about a deadline, which is July 4th, very, very soon coming up. They're actually going to put out 2 anthologies this year. And this one was, the prompt was everything I really need to remember I learned during COVID. So if you can submit that to Studio B in Boyertown by the 4th, go through your stuff and find it. And I would add, I suggested to the editor there that she start sending her nominations to the Pushcart Prize. So I think I got her hooked, and we might see Studio B's material show up in that anthology, and that would be wonderful. So here's the poem that I had in this anthology. The Green Man. The green man stirs like hope, like the great bones of a giant goaded into wakefulness. Rattle the clay pots, bang the garden spade against the shed door, bite the sod with tearing teeth, uproot winter, rake the scalp of lawn enough to make the grass stand up on end. Be done with the flattening weight of parkas, head colds, and earmuffs. Drag the spider-webbed lawn chair from the shed, lay back, and let a little chapped skin show. Thank you. Thank you.
I love the cobwebs on the lounge chair. Beautiful image. Okay. Oh my God. Marilyn was next. Elizabeth was next, and she stepped away for a minute. So let's go to Sistah Joy.
Thank you. I had not expected to present but when you indicated you were looking for readers, and I had admonished our feature for apologizing for a love poem, I said, okay, let me read a love poem, something that I very seldom do. This is titled You, and it's actually quite old. You and your Serengeti candle, feeling, finding your way into my soul under the perfect veneer finish I put on for poetry readings and other such public performances. You and your quiet intensity, locking my breath inside my throat throughout the eternity it takes you to take me. You and your attraction to fire melt down my inhibitions in minutes. Spontaneous combustion could take lessons from you. Fire could learn the meaning of hot. Just watching this slow burn inside my soul. Take your time, but take me, please.
Oh my God, what are you doing?
Like I said, after I gave her such a hard way to go, I'm like, okay, I believe in
Turn the video on for that one. Turn the video on for that one. Sistah Joy. Oh my goodness.
Maybe turn the video off.
But I had to turn on, make sure I was seeing who did it really was Sistah Joy. Amen.
Exactly.
We are all writers and we write every kind of thing. And I wanted to ensure to the young lady that is your feature, it's never a bad thing to share love poetry.
Oh, I love it.
That sounded like some Melvin Lindsay stuff. The quiet storm.
Oh my gosh. Take us back.
Poetry after midnight.
That was almost 20 years old, that piece right there.
And the heat is still there.
Thank you, Joy.
You're welcome.
Nice piece. I like it. Look at
Liz,
that.
Liz, I hope you share your one about the peach.
Oh, oh, that one.
Yeah.
Okay, I will do it.
Liz is back. Liz, are you ready?
I'm back. I'm back. Yes. Okay, back by popular demand. I will have that as the second one. Okay, I'll do one and then I'll do that second one. Okay, it's short. They're both short. So this one is called Le Bleu. That's my French for the blue hour. In the evening when the sun goes down, you know that time when everything gets beautiful blue. Yeah, Le Bleu. It is that hour of twilight where the sky is that unspeakable shade of blue, and the black branches of the mimosa set themselves in silhouette, every leafing out twig in contrast to the smooth blue-gray horizon.
That blue.
I am just so in love with the blue hour. Every time I see it, it's not every night, but when I see it, I just go, I melt. It's such a beautiful color. So by popular demand, Marilyn says I should share this one. See if I can remember it. Written on a hot, there's a preface to this. We had a poet reading for Berks Bards named Martin S. Worthy, and he came from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and he read this really long title of a poem and then a really short poem. And I thought, what? What is he doing? The title's longer than the poem. And then about a couple of weeks later, I wrote one. So here it goes. Written on a hot August afternoon at the farmer's market after a conversation with a young farmer with deep blue eyes. What if you could peel me like a ripe peach?
Whoa!
Woo!
Whoa! What time is it?
What?
Poetry after dark. What's going on? My goodness. I love it. And to think this is being
Wow.
recorded, I can go back and look at it again. Wow.
And
Go ahead.
I think, is Ann Harding Woodward still with us?
I was about to say the same thing.
I think she had asked about that. And I think she's not with us, but yeah, it always surprises people.
Ann Harding Woodworth, what do you got? You got some after dark poetry? Or anything? What do you got?
I'm here. What do you mean? What have I got?
You want to read something tonight?
Oh, sure. I thought I would dedicate this to Liz.
Beautiful.
It's called,
Thank you.
it's from my most recent book called Trouble. It's kind of hard to see that, but anyway. This is called Artist's Blue Hour, Oslo. I've seen the photo you took yesterday at sundown, the all blue of your street. You're on your way to a place, but where? The store? The Stube? The studio? Blue needs supply, needs eye. Blue needs easel, needs brush, needs nod, needs song like When You're Down and Troubled. Gesture annuls crisp air, the way clouds turn sun blue over sapphire on snow. That's when you need a helping hand, at the blue hour, the down and troubled hour, when winter is at its bluest and nothing soothes your red chapped lips.
Wow. Beautiful.
Especially on a day when it's been 100 degrees.
This was an amazing reading, folks. Amazing reading. Nan said she didn't want to read, but knowing the passion in Nan's heart, I'm gonna ask her one more time. You sure, Nan?
I'm sure, but I'd like you to read, Bernardo.
Ooh, hit him with
I
the
would
reverse
too.
card.
I go for that. Yes.
On the spot.
All right. In honor of all of this love and all of this being vulnerable, let me go here and I got one for you. This is called When Seeing Sings Me Songs. Seeing, singing songs. Seeing, singing songs. Seeing, singing songs. Sometimes I think of you as angel, come forth as salvation to assist me with the incidents of life. Sometimes as a vision, a place of destination, or a joyous dusk that comes before the night. Sometimes I see a tree in the sureness of your stance, a chance to lay beneath you taking shade, perhaps a weeping willow in the glade. Sometimes your softness calls me and I see you as a pillow, a perfect place to go where dreams are made. Singing in these moments is the norm. Songs of silence, seeing image form. In seeing and conceiving, there are borders, boundaries, lines, retrieving visions glimpsed and then refined. I know a show of promise is no guarantee to find, but amazing are the things I see sometimes. For you, Nan.
Thank you. Perfect.
And you too, Ruby, with all this wonderful imagery you got. We have done an incredible job right within the time frame that in my mind I said we would be done about 7 to 7:15, putting about an hour of poetry in the hearts and the minds of those who came. I want to ask Ruby one more time. I think I'll do that going forward. Maybe ask the featured poet to close us out with one last poem. Are you sure you don't have a journal, a notebook, or something there? Maybe it's something you presented online somewhere that you could just pull up and give us at home to remember you by. Thank you.
Give me like 2 seconds.
Got it. You got it.
No.
In the meantime, I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. It was phenomenal. I enjoyed the energy that each and every person brought with them. It's wonderful meeting new people, new poets, and wonderful seeing old friends and people that I have grown to know and love throughout this pandemic, through the Zoom portal. And all I can say is that, you know, it's amazing where God has taken us. You know, through this great tragedy, love has still continued to bloom.
And I just want to thank Ruby.
Yes.
I'm about to go. I'm about to go make dinner. So everything's echoing. Is it okay? I'm about to go make dinner for my husband and me. And when I'm at the stove, I always have a spoon right next to whatever I'm making, and it goes on a little blue and white plate. And so I was so pleased that you read the poem that Berks Bards put on their website. And I just want to read, on a blue flower plate, spoon resting beside it is a symbol that gently says, hey, I'm here if you need me. And I just loved that, Ruby. It was a wonderful, wonderful 3 lines. And I will always remember you when I pick up my spoon next to the whatever I'm cooking.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm so glad that resonated. And I love when moments of like synchronicity like that happen. So thank you. I did find one. I just pulled it up. Let me pull it up again here. All right. All right, so let's end on the same love theme note. And this is one that I wrote probably around 2 years ago. And again, thank you so much, everybody, for coming through today and just sharing your thoughts, your poems, and everything. It means so much. This is called Nerve Endings. A gasp comes out of me whenever I feel another person's touch, even if it's an accidental brush of an arm, a friend picking fuzz off my jacket, someone lightly touching my shoulder to signal that they're walking past me in a crowd and acknowledges that I exist, cares for me in that neutral stranger way. Its unfamiliarity grew over time, but being alone as a choice will do that. The feeling seems so distant, as if it's been a whole lifetime since fingertips have caressed my face, since memorizing mannerisms and the crinkles of skin on noses, since running my fingers through someone's hair, millions of strands gliding across such sensitive places. It's been said that there are more nerve endings in our fingertips and lips than most other parts in a human body. The ways we manipulate them and how much we feel and try to forget the fond, almost electric sensations makes them adjacent to otherworldliness. Feeling so detached from our norm now that when we merge bodies, time slows, breaths quicken, tenderness forms. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruby. Beautiful way to close. We will remember you for that.
Thank you so much.
So our time is about done here, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for attending Berks Bards virtual poetry reading coming live from a virtual place near Reading, Pennsylvania. Hope to see you next month.
Thank you, Bernardo.
All right.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Good job. Thank you.
Thank you,
Hey guys, if
Bernardo.
you like love poems, tomorrow night on First Fridays is going to be sonnets. So I put the link in the chat. Yeah, J. Hall Carpenter used his pandemic time to write a book of sonnets. And if you guys know Jay, he's a lovely writer. So he's gonna share his book with us tomorrow.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Ruby. Thank you, Bernardo.
Yeah. Thank you, Ruby. Yeah, that was so nice. I feel bad. I'm like, I gotta go write some love poems now. I don't really have any.
So
Too busy
great,
trying to fight the
Bernardo.
revolution. Like
We gotta go figure